speaking about rupee and crude oil, even if you take crude at 75, even then the kerosene and LPG subsidies would still be higher than what was budgeted. So what is your deficit estimates? The expenses still on that count are high.
See, the kerosene, the demand itself is going down. It's become a very small item of our budget. I don't think it's even 5,000 or 7,000 crore this year in aggregate. Because it's getting completely phased out.
No, my broad point is even then fuel subsidies are higher than what it was when the budget was being estimated. And then you have a shortfall on GST even now. So are you still confident of the deficit
There are always moving parts. Something will go up, something will come down. Not every expenditure as is budgeted takes place. So there are some natural reductions. I've said this very clearly. There is no program. There is no one has been asked to cut down on expenditure at all, right? So because we don't see that necessity. But in its natural way in which works, so some of those items would require some more expenditure, but that's not very large, all put together, including the health protection plan or the MSP related things, which were which required some additional funding, but those have also been costed. So roughly, if you can put it, maybe we have about 20-25,000 crores of extra expenditure, but we might have similar savings elsewhere. So I don't see at this moment any risk.
No, the worry is only in terms of revenues from GST falling short, because we are not hitting 1 lakh crore. Even 1 lakh crore every month.
We are doing much better on direct taxes. We are doing better on non-tax.
Not enough to make up, no sir. I think there is still a 50,000 crore shortfall.
Make up. Non-tax will do much better this year.
Disinvestment is
other than disinvestment.
Okay.
We have about 2,50,000 crores in non-tax receipts, which is expected to better
of
than
that 80,000 crore is divestment.
No, that is separate.
Even
that is separate. Over and above that.
Okay. Yeah, I guess small savings are coming to the aid of the government. Now you did one switch. The switch actually is extra borrowing, because you should have given that money to those who are holding the bonds, but now they are extended to the subsequent years.
Switch is no extra borrowing.
I mean, it amounts to. It's a redemption you should have paid, but you are extending it for another year. And I just wanted to know if there will be more.
In that sense, it's a reduction of
yeah, you don't have to pay the you don't have to pay the redemption. To that extent, your expenditure falls. Yeah, that's what I meant.
It's a financing part. It's not.
It's a financing part. So should we expect more of that?
Switch, we have a program. The switch is not any addition in borrowing program.
Okay.
Buyback is what we have reduced substantially. Buyback we don't need. We have done that analysis. Next 3 years, our repayment obligations are growing at a normal rate. Only in 21, 22 we have a bunching. So that would require to be managed in a buyback program going forward. But that's not now, that's 2 or 3 years away.
Okay, but should we expect more switches then? Is there an estimate that you can?
I think in budget we said about 25,000 crores of switches program.
You will do only that much. 10,000 was done.
It's opportunistic. It may happen that way, it may not happen that way.
Okay, but it won't be more than that. It won't be more than that.
No, I don't see any possibility.
Are you comfortable with the currency, or would you still, I mean, after all, if crude can come to 75 or 74, it can go to 84 and 85 again. So is there still a plan B for the currency, and at what point is that triggered? Is it rupee at 74, is it rupee at 75 that you will...
See, my sense is that currency, Indian currency would appreciate. From the levels which it is currently, right?
Okay. Why are you so confident?
Why should it be otherwise? Our growth is great. You invest in growth. Oil will, at some point in time, come down again. If what we are hearing is that, and that would also impact our current account. So I don't see why should there be a pressure on rupee going forward. It may not happen in days, it might take some weeks, but I'm pretty certain at some point in time this will come down to less than 30, less than 70.
Less than 70?
Yeah.
Okay, you're working with that assumption for the current fiscal?
No, we're not working with any assumption that way.
Okay.
But the way the fundamentals move, that's what my sense is.
Are you so confident of growth, sir? Because this NBFC funding drying up takes its toll on consumption. Would you be that confident of growth in the second half?
See, we will wait for now the second quarter number to come, which we hope to be better than quarter one. And then the second half, this, what you're seeing in NBFC is relatively small. It's not hit the consumption story
it's a
very
22
materially.
lakh crore industry.
So it remains 22 lakh crore. It's not going away.
No, it's not. But its rate of growth is, you know, there are several NBFCs who are almost not going to grow their book in the second half.
What we will see is some slowdown or maturing of growth on the NBFCs. But we will see higher growth on the banking side coming up. Right.
So you expect it to
somewhere
compensate.
It gets compensated. Last 2 years, the NBFCs and those are holding up the growth consumption story. This year, it will be the other way. So we need to see the holistic picture rather than any particular segment.
Okay. Okay, if you're confident of growth, because there are some skeptics because of the developments in
I know there will always be some skeptics.
Well, the markets have gone down from 11,800 to, you know, 10,100. So clearly there are many skeptics at this point in time on growth. I believe I'm running out of time, so I just wanted to ask you about this payments regulator. I'm assuming that would have come up for discussion because the dissent note was put up in the public domain. Is there any meeting ground? After all, it was draft. So,
no, I think what
both sides agree on something.
What we had put out on the website, the Finance Ministry, is not a draft. It is the final recommendation or report of the group. That report builds in the Reserve Banks of India's viewpoint on what the regulator's composition and who should head it. But it's already there.
But they believe, I mean, if you read the dissent note, it says that their position has not been entirely appreciated in the
all I would say, that report is also being signed by the RBI as a member.
With the dissent, isn't it? No, you signed with the dissent note, so clearly they're disagreeing with the position.
The report which has been signed has the dissent built in, and that built-in report has been signed.
I think the key demand was that it should be a part of the Reserve Bank.
Of course, that is reflected. That is what the Reserve Bank was saying, which is reflected in the report.
But it is an independent regulator. The governor is not the head of that regulatory body.
No. What the RBI said at that time, that it should be
under the Reserve Bank.
Under the Reserve Bank and should be headed by the governor, is built into the report itself. Though the majority view is not in favor of that, and therefore the group has recommended.
All right. The point I'm coming from is that therefore will the government be willing to concede something to take in the minority view?
Again, the way the government works, now that report would be examined by the department, and if at any stage there is a proposal to bring this law, this would have formal consultations. And in the formal consultations, the Reserve Bank would again be consulted. So it's not...
so it's not the last word, it is still an evolving...
Yeah, that's the way the system works. There is a group. The group has been given a report. That report has a certain formulation. That formulation now the government would consider and have the consultation with all the stakeholders, including the Reserve Bank.
So chances are that it could revert to closer to what the Reserve Bank has been asking.
I won't say anything on that.
It can happen that the governor will chair the regulatory body. It could happen that way.
If the government finally decides that way, it can happen that way.
When would we come to know about that?
No, that is now the consultation process. When would that happen would depend upon when that law is taken up for consideration by the government.
Okay. Well,
at this moment, this is in the consultation phase.
All right. So it's not that the government's position is sealed. It could evolve.
It's a group which has made its recommendation about a certain position.
Okay. So the government
That's not the government's...
Fair point. It can still have a different view. Okay. Well, finally, sir, I know I'm running out of time. The Iranian oil agreement, I know at the moment it's not a hot topic, but has any progress been made in terms of a rupee payment and therefore being able to import some oil from Iran?
Iranian delegation is in town. We are discussing with them the modalities of a rupee arrangement, if it comes to be used for that. Right?
Okay, so are we close to striking a deal? And will it be within the confines of what the United States is demanding?
I would at this moment say it's under discussion.
All right. Mr. Garg, thank you very much for your patience. I know I've made you wait more than you were prepared for. Thank you so much for this.
Thanks, Latha. Thank you.